everybody, this is your math coach to the rescue, and in this video we are going to learn how to approximate irrational numbers. So the first problem says that the square root of 74 is between which two integers. So in this problem we have to find out, if I was to graph the square root of 74, where would it be located in the number line. So to do this problem we are going to first need to know the perfect square. And a perfect square is a number that comes from a number to the second power. For example, the number 1 is a perfect square because number 1 comes from 1 to the second power. The next perfect square will be the number 4. Why? Because 4 comes from 2 to the second power. So if you follow this pattern, you can get the list of perfect squares until you get a number that is going to be a perfect square that the square root of 74 is between. So let's continue with 3 squared, which is 9. 4 squared is 16. So all of these numbers are perfect square. 1, 4, 9, 16. Then 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 100, and I'm going to stop right here. But it is very convenient for you to memorize at least the first 10 perfect squares because you are going to be using that a lot. If you don't know the perfect square, just remember, take the first numbers 1 through 10 and find the square of each of those, and that will give you your first perfect square. So now we're looking for the square root of 74. So I'm going to find the number 74 in this list, and of course it's not on the list because 74 is not a perfect square. However, 74 is between 64 and 81. So I'm going to, if I was to find the square root of 64 and the square root of 81, I get the numbers 8 and 9 because that's where those two are coming from. They're coming from 8 squared and 9 squared. So therefore, the square root of 74 is in between 8 and 9. Now, to have an exact approximation or the closest approximation, we are going to ask ourselves, okay, is it closer than 8 or is it closer than 9? Okay, so from 64 to 74 is 10 units, and from 74 to 81 it is 7 units, so it's closer to 9, so it's going to be a little bit over half, or 8.5. But we don't want that. We just want to know between which two integers. So right now your answer is between 8 and 9. It's very simple. So let's look at the next one. 106 is between which two integers? Okay, so now I need 106, but look, my list goes up to 100, so I'm going to have to continue a little bit more. So I'm going to do this 11 squared equals 121. Oh, so I don't have to continue because I need 106. So 106 is between 100 and 121. Therefore, 106 is between 10 and 11. You see how I did this faster? Because all I need to know is in between which two integers. So it's between 10 and 11. Now, let's look at the last problem, and it has a negative in there. So what that means is that my numbers are going to have a negative. My integers are going to have a negative in between. But the process is the same. I'm looking for 139. So I don't have that, so I'm going to have to continue my list. So my next number will be 12, and 12 to the second power is 144. So I'm going to stop right here, and now I know that 139 is between 121 and 144. So the square root of negative 130, the negative square root of 139 is gonna be between the negative square root of is going to be negative 12 and negative 11. Now remember, when we're looking at the negative numbers, now my numbers are going to be going back from 0, which is going to be to the right, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, and then negative 12. So that's why my negative 12 goes first and then the negative 11. So this number is between negative 12 and negative 11. And that is how we find, we approximate irrational numbers and find where in the number line would those numbers be. So if I was to graph, I will have to graph, let's go to the first one. This is my number line, and I need to find the square root of 74 is between 8 and 9. So is my 0 is here. This is my number 0, and over here is 8, positive 8, and over here is positive 9. My square root of 74 is going to be, we say a little bit above, after the middle, so I'm going to do this. 74, and that's how it will be on the number line. I'm going to graph the second one, 106. So this is my number line. This is going to be my 0, and it's between 10 and 11. So let's say this is 10 and this is 11, and 106 is closer to 100 than it is to 121. So it's going to be over here. I'm just going to put a dot, and then I'm going to put 106. Okay, and that is how we graph it. And then to graph the other one, I'm going to move up a little bit so we can see how to graph. So we're going to graph right here. So I'm going to draw my number line. And now I'm going to have my 0. Now remember, the negatives are to the left, so I'm now working on the left hand side. So it's going to be between negative 11 and negative 12. And I'm looking at 139, which is closer to 144. So it's going to be, let's say here. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is an approximation. I'm going to put 139. Don't forget to put the negative sign. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video and happy learning.